Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. I want to admit something to you guys that I haven't said in a while. A day that goes by that there's not plenty of news. I mean, it's amazing to me. I could go on to Google News right now, Yahoo News, any particular Fox News, the Daily Caller, Huffington Post, you name it. And I could talk for hours over just the front page of what it used to be. Google has changed, so it's kind of linear now. It used to be more like a newspaper, where you'd have multiple sections. But I could go on any of their main pages of any major periodical and talk for hours. And it seems to me, I'll be honest with you, that I'm just talking about the same thing. I feel like Stephen King when he says he's going to quit writing books because it's the same book. I think he said he started writing a book and then he thought to himself, wait a minute, I wrote this book. And sure enough, he had. And that's when he said, I'm done writing books. He had reached the end of his imagination. Now, I certainly haven't reached the end of my imagination. But I've reached the end of my patience, I guess is what I'm thinking. I'm starting to get that feel like we're just going in this circular discussion. And I really do. I'm sharing this with you guys live because I want you to understand that I'm going through this metamorphosis of wondering, what do we do next? I mean, look, we've got projects. We've got our movie project, bleedingbluemovie.com, a cop film, a documentary that is about 80 or 85% pro-police, 15% real, in the sense that there are issues in the police department. And the reason why we did the documentary that way is, unlike Michael Moore, thanks for that adjustment, unlike Michael Moore, I do not want to present something completely one-sided. I don't believe all cops are good. I don't believe law enforcement is right all the time. I flatly don't. But I'll tell you this, I would rather have them than not, and the overwhelming number of them are amazing people. And we aren't being told that. We're being told a lie, because the bigger picture of that lie is there are people in this country, for example, who don't want cops. I sat next to a girl who said, why don't we take police out of black neighborhoods, out of the cities? Let's get a nationalized police force. Can you imagine calling D.C.? Hey, D.C., we need a cop in Tupelo, Mississippi. Oh, Kevin, there'll be a substation there. Really? Like what? Is it going to be better than the substation, the cops that's already there? What is federalizing the police? What will that possibly do? Will it be like the mail? Will they work on Sundays? I'm just asking. These are good questions, don't you think? Anyway, we have plenty to do. We're helping kids get adopted. We're keeping latchkey kids off the street. We're starting a thing called TeaPartyCommunity.com. We're not starting it. It's been around for a while. That's going after the social media footprint of the left so they don't dominate. But I still feel like we're doing the same thing. I really want to get into the field. I don't want to be sitting behind a desk. Don't misunderstand me. Behind a microphone is powerful. But I want to do more. I want to be where I can show people, when you get off your butts, when you put your money where your mouth is, you make an impact. I mean, look, Chicago, over 4,000 homicides in Chicago since 2009. The majority of them, black on black crime. And you know what black folks are talking about? Pulling down statues of old white men that did nothing to them. Old white men who lost a war. Many of whom didn't even believe in the cause of the war they were fighting for. By the way, any of these 4,000 homicides in Chicago since 2009 been committed by Nazis? I mean, we're rioting in Charlottesville, Virginia, over the idea of white nationalism. I know the guy who set up that event. His name is Jason Kessler. He is not a white supremacist in any way. He's a guy that says, why can't we have a nationalism versus white nationalism or black nationalism? Why is it we got to pull down statues when we got bigger problems? Tucker Carlson asked the question of a guy who is fighting for the rights of Colin Kaepernick, VP of the NAACP in Atlanta. You know what? Let's just play the clip. A couple of clips.
What makes you suspect it's racial? Again, the league is 70% black. If anything, it seems like it might be able to use a little diversity. I mean, that's not. How is that racism? I'm honestly confused.
Well, the issue is with the ownership. And again, there are no owners that are African American. There's one owner that's a person of color. So you have 32 teams, 32 owners who we believe are acting in a way that goes against putting a good product on the field. If it's about ability and the ability to win games and to produce on the field, Colin Kaepernick's stats speak for themselves. Again, his quarterback rating shows that he's the 17th best quarterback in the league. There's no reason why he should not be able to at least get a training camp invite to be able to show his talents on the field.
We're going to play another clip, but I want to delve into this for just a second, and then maybe we'll talk about the other side of this in the next segment. But so we've got the NAACP in Atlanta who is concerned about Colin Kaepernick. And they're saying that the reason that Kaepernick didn't get a job is because of racism in the NFL. Now, to Tucker's point, the NFL is actually 68.7% black. Now, he's rounded it up and said it's 70%, but it's highly black, given that blacks are 13% of the population. So it really doesn't hold water. And by the way, it is these white owners, the very people that this guy, is talking about, who hired these 70% black people at a 500% rate of their population. These racist whites are hiring these black folks. But instead of talking about that, he then segues into, well, it's not about the players, it's about the owners. Because see, that would go to say that these players are getting paid slave wages, and this is what happened with LeBron James a while back when they were like, it's a slavery for LeBron James to have to play for the Cleveland Cavaliers when he wanted to go to the Miami Heat. And then after he went to Miami and he wanted to come back to Cleveland, well, it was no longer slavery. And by the way, he made $7 million a year when they were accusing the owner, I think his name is Dan Gilbert, the guy that owns Quicken Loans, of being a slave master. LeBron James was making $7 million a year as pretty much as a rookie. I know he was one of the highest paid players. He's gone and come back. Now he's one of the highest paid players, but he's no longer working for slave wages, I guess. Anyway, back to Colin Kaepernick. So the NAACP is weighing in on NFL football, who employs 68.7% black folks, almost 70% black people, in jobs where they make multiple millions of dollars. Colin Kaepernick's contract was for $126 million, of which he was paid something like $38 million of it. And then he, of his own accord, opted for free agency. Now, this guy argues he's the number 17 quarterback in the league statistically, even though there are 90 quarterbacks. Given that, some team should pick him up. And he's mad. He's saying it's not just that the NFL is racist with 70% blacks. It's not that. It's these owners who employ 70% of black millionaires, make these young black thugs, and I don't want to call them all thugs, but these young black men millionaires, and then now they're racist. That's the supposition. So if they're racist, and he's saying, well, they should want to put the best product on the field. Colin Kaepernick was 3-13 in his last year with the 49ers. What's the best product? And as I've argued on this program and a few others, Colin Kaepernick, there's no guarantee of him to get a job. I don't care how good he is. I can tell you stories about a friend of mine who's a kickboxer. Nobody would fight him. And it wasn't because he was a terrible kickboxer. It was quite the opposite. He was a really good one. He was amazing. Sadly, he ended up in prison because he didn't have the right attitude. And Colin Kaepernick doesn't have the right attitude. Who wants to play with him? You want your white players to play with him? What kind of discord are you going to see with that? What about the black players who disagree with him? What happens to them? In the picture where Colin Kaepernick and his buddy there are two other guys. One's not even on the field, a player. One's in uniform that are kneeling. I'll tell you this. One of those, look right beside him. There's a big black dude standing with his hand over his heart who probably has to block for Kaepernick. He's standing there proudly American as Colin Kaepernick takes a knee. So it's amazing to me that we are still entertaining this kind of nonsense in a time when black folks can do whatever we want. And we're not talking about the sport of curling. And, black people can't do it and they're making millions of dollars. Anyway, I got more to talk about on this subject that I want to get back on track when we come back.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.